That night, Beauty dreamed that a lovely woman came to her and said, "Do not fear, Beauty, for your kindness to your father will not go unrewarded." The next morning, she told her father about the dream. "Perhaps," he said, a bit comforted, "the kind fairy who lives in this enchanted place will help you." As he prepared to leave, the merchant kept insisting that it was he who should be staying and not his daughter, but Beauty had made up her mind. After many tears and farewell embraces, Beauty watched as her father rode through the gate and pointed his horse toward home. The sadness of seeing her father for the last time overwhelmed the girl, and she wept. As she dried her tears and walked back to the palace, she realized that hiding from the beast would be useless. So she gathered up her courage and began to walk from room to room. Soon she came to a door over which were written the words, "Beauty's Room." Upon entering, she was amazed to find that of all the beautiful rooms in the palace, this was her favorite. There were shelves loaded with books, a closet full of the loveliest gowns, volumes of sheet music, and a large variety of musical instruments, including a harp. "If the beast is intending to kill me," thought Beauty, "it seems strange that he would go to all this trouble to make my life so pleasant." She removed a book from the shelf and found an elegant gold inscription inside. "Beauty, everything within this house is at your command. Ask for anything you wish." "Ah," Beauty sighed, "as beautiful as all this is, my only true wish is to see my poor father once again." As she spoke, the reflection in a nearby mirror grew foggy. Out of the mist appeared her father, stooped with sadness as he rode into the farmyard. Her sisters rushed out to meet him. Even though they pretended to be sad that Beauty was not with him, she could see in their faces that they were secretly glad to be rid of her. The image faded, then disappeared altogether. Beauty was grateful that the beast had allowed her to see her father again. Perhaps, she thought, this monster is kinder than he appears. At lunchtime, Beauty found a lavish meal laid out for her in the dining room. Even though she ate alone, she enjoyed a lovely concert played by invisible musicians. That evening at dinner, her host finally made an appearance, and as she was about to seat herself at the table, Beauty was startled to see the beast standing in front of the shadows of the edge of the room. "May I watch you eat your dinner, Beauty?" the beast asked softly. Beauty thought that she had prepared herself for anything that might happen when she saw the monster next, but this strange request surprised her. Despite herself, she trembled as she answered, "You are the master here." "There you are wrong, Beauty," the beast said, his eyes never leaving her as he spoke. "For you are mistress in this house, and if my presence annoys you, I will go. But tell me," he continued, "do you think that I am very ugly?" She paused, fearing that her answer might anger the monster. Then finally she said, "Yes, I'm afraid I do, but I say that only because I think you want the truth. I also think that you have been very generous." "I hope someday that you will find me less ugly," said the beast. "But I also hope that you will never lie to me. And the last thing I want is for you to be unhappy. So please remember that this household and everything in it is yours to command." "Thank you," said Beauty. "You are indeed very kind, and when I think of that, you are not so frightening." "I may have a kind heart," the beast said sadly, "but I am still a monster." "There are many people who are cruel, but who are able to hide their monstrosity beneath their human form," said Beauty. "I prefer the company of someone who may appear on the outside to be a monster, but is truly gentle and good within." This touched the beast deeply. "I wish I could tell you how much what you have said means to me. As it is, I can only ask you this. Beauty, will you be my wife?" Beauty was taken aback and couldn't help but show her surprise at this question. She looked away, trying to avoid the monster's intense gaze. "No, Beast," she said at last. "I'm sorry, but I can't." The Beast heaved a deep, sad sigh that drifted through the room and echoed down the hallway. "Good night, Beauty," he said as he turned and followed the echo of his own sigh into the darkness. Alone in the room, Beauty couldn't help wonder at the strangeness of her new life and marvel at how truly sorry she felt for the unhappy Beast. Over the next several months, Beauty grew accustomed to her new home. She filled her days with activities and began to look forward to her evenings with the Beast, for every night at 9 o'clock the Beast would join her in the dining room for dinner. Throughout the day, she would see or read something and think, "I must remember to tell the Beast about that." Many evenings she would bring a book, and after the meal was cleared away by invisible hands, she would read to him. Or perhaps she would bring her harp and play a new piece that she had learned. Every night she hoped that whatever pastime she offered would divert him from asking the same awful question. But every night, even if she read the most wonderful story or played the loveliest music, she could still feel his gaze upon her and see in his sad eyes how deeply his soul ached. Then, as the story ended, or as the last note faded, the dreaded question would come, "Beauty, will you be my wife?" And every night she replied with the equally dreadful answer, "No, Beast, I can't." Then one night, just as he was about to speak, Beauty spoke first. "Beast, please, I know what you are about to ask, and every night it breaks my heart to give you the same answer. You are my dearest friend, and I hate to hurt you. I care for you so deeply, Beast, but as a friend." Beauty turned her face away, trying to hide the tears. "Beauty, I have made you unhappy," the Beast said sadly. "I fear only one thing in this life, that you will go away and never return. Because if you do, I will die. I will never ask you that question again if you promise that you will live here forever." "I will make that promise," Beauty answered, "but first I must ask a favor." Ever since noticing how frail her father looked when she saw him last, she had been worried about his health. "Please let me see my father once more." "You can go see him tomorrow," the Beast replied, "but if you do not return, I will die." "I promise to be gone for only 1 week, and then when I return, I will stay with you always," Beauty said. "Take this ring," the Beast said as he gave it to her. "You need only to turn it around your finger 3 times before you go to sleep tonight. Tomorrow morning you will awaken in your father's house. In the same way, you can return any time you choose. But remember, if you stay away longer than 7 days, you will return to find me no more." "Goodbye, Beauty," said the Beast. But as he started to go, he paused to look at her one last time. It was only a moment, just long enough for Beauty to catch a glimpse of a tear glistening in the monster's eye, and then he was gone. That night, Beauty followed the Beast's instructions, and the next morning she awoke in her father's house. The old man laughed and cried with joy as he hugged his beloved Beauty. Word was sent to her sisters, and soon they arrived with their new husbands. As it turned out, using the dowries that their fathers had provided, the sisters had managed to find mates who were equal to them in every unpleasant way, equally proud in character and cruel in nature. At first, the sisters pretended to be thrilled to have Beauty back again, But when they saw how elegantly she was dressed and learned how happy she was in her palatial home, they were overcome with envy and soon went back to their old spiteful ways, treating Beauty more like a servant than their sister. Within days, Beauty had grown weary of their mistreatment and longed to return to the kindness of the Beast. When she told her family that she must leave at the end of the week or her friend would die, the cruel sisters immediately realized how they could destroy her happiness. Suddenly they were oozing with sweetness. "Oh, little sister," they begged through false tears, "please stay just a few more days. We love you so." Beauty was touched. Her whole life she had so yearned to be cared for by these evil creatures that she fell into their trap. 7, and then 8, and then 9 days passed. Uh-oh. On the night of the 9th day, she had a frightful dream in which she ran through the palace, searching in vain for the Beast. Finally, she found him lying in the garden, dead. She woke up crying, twisted the ring around her finger 3 times, and drifted back to sleep. When she awoke the next morning, she was home in the palace of the Beast. Just as in her dream, she ran from room to room, hoping to find him. Frantic, she ran into the garden, where the nightmare came true, for there on the ground by the fountain lay the Beast. "Beast," she cried and ran to him, but he didn't move. She shook him, trying to revive him, but he still didn't respond. In utter despair, she fell onto him and wept. "Oh, Beast," she cried, "please don't die. Not now that I finally know how much you mean to me. Not now that I know that I love you. Please open your eyes and ask me that question again so I can tell you how much I want to be your wife." Suddenly, a violent shudder ran through the Beast. He breathed a long, deep sigh. Fearing that this was the end, Beauty jumped back. The air was filled with a rushing sound, and as she turned to look, the entire palace glowed with a brilliant light, and fireworks lit up the sky. When she turned back, she found a handsome prince lying in the monster's place. His eyes opened and he sat up. "Beauty," he said, "your love has saved my life. Many years ago, an evil witch turned me into a beast and said the only way the curse could be broken was if a beautiful woman told me she loved me and would consent to be my wife." Overjoyed, Beauty gave the prince her hand and helped him to his feet. Together, they entered the light-filled palace. To Beauty's surprise, her family was gathered there. The lovely woman who had appeared to Beauty in her dream was indeed a fairy, and it was she who had worked to help undo the witch's evil spell. "Beauty," the fairy said, taking her hand, "you will be rewarded not only for your steadfast love and devotion to your father, but also for learning to overcome your fear of a beast to find the true kind heart that beat within. You shall remain in this palace and take your rightful place beside your prince. As for you, ladies," the fairy said, turning to her sisters, "your pride and cruelty have earned you quite another reward. You will stand at the palace doors as stone statues and will silently watch your sister's happiness until you realize the pain you have caused and admit your mistakes. You will, I fear, remain statues for a long time." With a wave of her wand, all was accomplished. The prince's land and his subjects were all restored to him. The royal couple ruled with wisdom and kindness and lived happily ever after. So, did you guys like that story? I thought it was pretty good. I wonder how long the sisters are going to have to stand there as stone statues. Maybe a while. I hope you enjoyed our book today, Beauty and the Beast. I certainly did, and I will see you next time with another great story on Story Time with Nonna. Bye.